So let's move from creating an awesome system with tasks to actually how we also help you to improve your focus. So the main thing about focus is that you're pulled in a bunch of different directions in this field of real estate. And it's important that instead of worrying about everything that has to be done, you should really try to focus on just what do I need to do today, be aware of what's coming up, but don't spend all this time thinking through the entire time frame of every transaction and not being sure if you've missed a detail or forgotten an important deadline. So what we're going to look at is our four-step process for taking our action plans and putting it into a actual linear calendar that tells you what to do and when to do it. We're going to look at how we focus on today's tasks versus past due versus all tasks. And then we're going to look at how we can manage transaction parties and create custom rules for your team. So let's move back to our application, and we're going to take this action plan and transform it into a list of to-do tasks. So to do that, we're going to click on Add New Transaction up here at the top, and this is a four-step process that begins with giving it a name. So 12777 Demo Island. Okay, we're going to pick our pending buyer as our type and use that same demo plan that we were just looking at. And then we have our start and our end date. So we'll say it went under contract today and it is ending at the end of June. And we'll click add transaction. So that's step one. Step two is now to manage those key dates and edit those key dates so that this process matches your contract. So for example, if there's not an HOA, we can remove those HOA tasks, and any changes that we make here will not impact the actual template. We're just tweaking this to fit our contract. For example, our inspection period might be 14 days, so we'll update that. So you get the point. We'll just make some modifications. The third step is where we can edit all of the tasks, not just the key dates. And then our last task is to add some of the transaction parties into this deal. So let's say that we have a co-agent and the name is Hillary Swank. Is that her name? Let's see, something at gmail.com. And we're going to say that this is the role of the co-agent, and we give them a phone number. Okay, and we will add them in. And then we can also, if we have someone that we use a lot, so maybe there's a Hank Williams, we'll go ahead and add that person, and we'll give them the role of the buyer. So this is someone we do a lot of work with. We can add them in automatically. If we have team members that we want to also put in onto this transaction, we can say that Julia from our team is a transaction coordinator. And if we have other tasks, so maybe she's also that sign runner. We get rid of it. Maybe she can also be our client service person. So you can have multiple roles. And as you create action plans that assign to different roles, you can pick the right person to associate with that role and therefore be assigned those tasks. So you can see we can start building out our transaction parties here. We can also add transaction parties after we click launch transaction and convert our action plan into actual to-do tasks. So from here, you'll see that now all of our tasks have a assigned due date. They also have little checkboxes that we can check off once they are complete. As we go through and we see these keys, these represent our milestones, which also are listed up here. So these are the key dates. There's 16 of them. And this is what our timeline is from contract through to closing. So as we check these off, for example, execute purchase contract, we'll see that we'll start progressing down this top navigation bar. With the first one, if we want to go straight to our schedule inspection and check that off, we can do that here as well. It's very simple. You'll also see that when we have, for example, this email with all of our important deadlines, we've identified who it's being sent to, who is copied on it. It's very easy to send out emails. We can preview to make sure that everything that's in here is correct. And then we can go ahead and click send when we are ready. And off it goes. So we'll go ahead and just click update task here. And we can also then check it off once we're done, or we can resend it if for some reason someone complains that they did not receive, or we want to send a slightly modified version right to them again. So within here, it's very simple to manage tasks between what is due today, what is past due, fortunately nothing right now. And we can also see what our entire list of tasks are between now all the way through to the closing date, which is the end of June. So here's our attend closing task. And then there's all sorts of additional tasks, beyond that. Okay, so very Very easy to get to everything, but the goal here again is just to manage what's due today. On the right hand side, if we want to add team members here, we can do that at any point in time. We'll set him up as the attorney. And we can add team members in here, or we can add transaction parties as we figure out who those folks are. Now, when it comes to transaction parties, the one thing I'll point out is that you can create any role that you want to manage. So there are different people involved in the transaction in different states. So it's very easy in Nekst to come in to the setup page and really modify a lot of the information. So when it comes to roles, we can create any ones that you want. So for example, if you want to create a role called sign runner and you have someone on your team that just runs out everything, or heck, we'll call them a courier, that's even nicer. Or she, or she. We can see that this is now a role that is in here. We can delete it if we want. We can fix a spelling error if we want. And now when we go back to our property, if I want to add someone in as our courier, we can do that by just selecting that role. Okay, so make sure you take some time to update that. And then as we are working through our tasks and new things come up, it's very easy to add a new standard task in. So if we had something today, it could be announce to the agents at my office, I have a new listing, right? So this is our task. And we can choose who it's assigned to. We can choose when it's due. Now that we're adding a task here, we don't use before and after dates. We just say, when do you want to do it? So this is going to happen today. And we'll click on Save Task. And then this task will show up down here as well. Let's see, where is it? Announce the agents, and I have a listing, and we can check it off when we are done. So very, very simple to take our action plans and then really focus on what needs to be done and when. And that is ultimately what helps your overall focus. So next video, we're going to talk about our organization, right? So how we can keep track of all these details and quickly access them so that we are on top of our business at all times.